The British royal family, an institution built on centuries of tradition, protocol, and let's be honest, a healthy dose of drama. We see the fairy tale weddings, the adorable children, the carefully curated public appearances. But behind the palace walls, a different kind of battle unfolds. A battle fought not with swords or cannons, but with whispered insults, strategic alliances, and the ever-watchful eye of the media. And at the center of this particular storm, two women vying for influence, respect, and ultimately the affection of the British public, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Laura Lopes, Queen Camilla's stepdaughter. Now, before we dive in, let's be clear. This isn't some catty reality show. This is about power, about how women navigate incredibly complex systems, and about the subtle, often brutal ways in which status is asserted and challenged within the royal family. Catherine, with her impeccable style, genuine warmth, and dedication to her role, has become a beloved figure. She's the modern face of the monarchy, the one who connects with the people, the one who seems to genuinely care. But that popularity makes her a target. And Laura Lopes, stepping out of the shadows and into the royal spotlight, clearly had ambitions of her own. The opening salvo, a seemingly innocuous comment at a royal gala, an art exhibition, no less. The kind of event where appearances are everything and every word is weighed. Laura, with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, suggested that Catherine, with all her royal duties, simply didn't have the time to truly understand art. Ouch. It was a calculated dig, a subtle but unmistakable jab at Catherine's intellect and depth, the implication that she's just a pretty face, a picture-perfect princess with nothing behind the smile. And Camilla, she stood by, a faint knowing smile playing on her lips. A silent endorsement of her daughter's boldness. It was a power play, plain and simple. A message to Catherine that she wasn't the only woman with influence in this family. That Camilla and by extension her daughter, weren't afraid to challenge the established order. But Catherine, ever the professional, didn't flinch. She kept her composure, her smile intact, but beneath the silk of her gown, her hands tightened. She knew this wasn't just a personal attack. It was a declaration of war, a challenge to her position, her authority, her very identity as a modern, capable princess. The next morning, the headline screamed, "Laura Lopes mocks Princess Kate." The story spread like wildfire, fueled by social media outrage and the insatiable appetite of the British tabloids. Some defended Catherine, praising her grace and resilience. Others twisted the knife, calling her a smiling statue, too passive to fight back. Every word was a cut, reopening the wound inflicted at the royal gallery. And Laura, she reveled in the attention. Suddenly, she was everywhere, high-profile cultural events, dazzling at concerts, her Instagram filled with curated images of herself admiring art, clinking glasses with her mother. Each post was a subtle challenge, asserting her growing influence and her perceived parity with Catherine. The press ate it up, framing the two women as rivals, dissecting every outfit, every glance, every word. Laura was the fresh voice, the cultured cosmopolitan. Catherine was the reliable, safe option. The contrast stung. Years of dedication, her charitable work, her devotion to her family, all seemed to fade beneath the shadow of a single poisonous remark. But Catherine is no fool. She understood that this was more than just a personal feud. It was a calculated effort to erode her standing, to dim the light she had fought so hard to keep alive. And for the first time, she felt not just wounded, but awakened. Aware that if she didn't fight back, she could lose far more than her dignity. She could lose her influence, her purpose, her very place within the royal family. The tension ratcheted up at St. James's Palace. Kate presenting her proposal for a program to nurture young artists from underrepresented communities was met with Laura's coolly delivered, "Shouldn't we be aiming to support truly distinguished artists instead of amateurs?" A calculated jab, and Camilla, presiding over the meeting, validated it with a honeyed, "Sometimes we can be too sensitive to honest criticism." The burn of betrayal must have been excruciating. It wasn't just Laura's contempt, but Camilla's deliberate blessing of it. That's when something shifted in Kate. It wasn't anger, but resolve. A line had been crossed, and she wasn't going to let it fade. The media, of course, fueled the flames. Laura Lopes, the royal family's new cultural star, one headline blared. Kate, meanwhile, was branded traditional, uninspired. Each line was another blow. The turning point came at a private party. Laura, possibly emboldened by wine, carelessly declared, "I want to be the young cultural ambassador of the royal family. Do what no one here dared." For Kate, that was it. An outsider seizing a role she considered earned intolerable. Enough, she vowed. I won't remain silent. So, she arranged an urgent meeting with royal advisors. The response: silence, caution, fear of upsetting Camilla. They prized a fragile peace over Kate's dignity. If the royal family won't defend me, she declared, I will defend myself. That evening, she laid out her strategy to William. He was furious, of course, but Kate was adamant. I need to handle this my way. And her way was not with crude attacks or public drama. It was with intelligence, tact, and influence. She would prove she was more than a decorative figure. She was a force. Enter Elena Martinez, a young Latina artist from East London. Her unflinching abstract paintings captured the struggles of the overlooked. Kate remembered Laura's scornful comment that Elena was too common to represent the royal family. That memory reignited her resolve. She would show them what real class meant. Working in secrecy, Kate leveraged her influence to have Elena featured as a headline artist at the prestigious International Art Exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum. Her boldest move: appointing Elena as the young cultural ambassador of the royal family, the very title Laura coveted. When she finally visited Elena's studio, the air was thick with jazz and oil paint. Elena, startled by the royal presence, asked cautiously, "What brings you here, princess?" Kate smiled warmly. "Your art moved me. It tells truths people need to see. I want to help you share them with the world." In that moment, she wasn't speaking as a princess, but as a woman who believed in giving voice to the unheard. The plan was risky, but every doubt was drowned out by the memory of Laura's derision, Camilla's smug silence, and the advisor's cowardly neutrality. This wasn't revenge. It was restoration, the reclaiming of her dignity and vision. The International Art Exhibition's opening day dawned bright, almost as if the heavens were giving Kate a thumbs up. The grand hall of the Victoria and Albert Museum buzzed with anticipation. Elena's art exploded on the spotless walls, vivid and raw. Critics, collectors, the whole art world was there whispering about the daring new talent. Then Kate walked in. The room shifted. She was a force in scarlet, tailored to perfection. Power radiated from her. The smile was gracious, but the eyes, oh, they were all business. This wasn't just a party. This was a message. Laura and Camilla stood across the hall, composed as ever. Laura in emerald silk surveyed the room with practiced superiority. Camilla in lilac missed nothing. They were confident. They had no idea what was coming. Kate took the stage, bathed in light. Her voice, warm but firm, filled the room. Today, we celebrate not just art, but those who dare to tell their truth, regardless of the barriers. Her gaze flickered to Laura and Camilla just for a moment. It's my honor to introduce Elena Martinez, a visionary artist whose work turns adversity into beauty. Elena stepped forward, nervous but bright. Kate took her hand, a simple gesture of solidarity that spoke volumes. The applause swelled. Then came the hammer blow. I'm delighted to announce that Elena will serve as the royal family's new young cultural ambassador, bringing art to every community from London's quietest corners to the global stage. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled furiously. Kate and Elena side by side, emblems of change. Across the hall, Laura's face went white. Her fingers tightened around her wine glass. Fury burned in her eyes. The ambassador position, her dream, gone. Given to the woman she dismissed as unrefined. Camilla remained composed, but the tension in her jaw, the cold glint in her eyes betrayed her. They'd been outplayed. The headlines exploded. Kate names young artist Elena Martinez as Royal Cultural Ambassador, edging out Laura Lopes. Princess Kate emerges as the modern face of the royal arts. Public opinion swung hard in Kate's favor. Her choice resonated, positioning the royal family as inclusive, forward-thinking. Laura's past condescension toward Elena resurfaced, painting her as elitist, out of touch. But Kate wasn't gloating. Amid the applause, she felt calm. She hadn't just outshone her rivals. She'd restored her dignity while lifting up another woman. You did it, she told Elena softly. This is just the start. Thank you for believing in me, Elena replied, her eyes shining. Laura, meanwhile, hissed at Camilla. How could she humiliate us like this? Camilla squeezed her hand, icy. Compose yourself, Laura. We'll respond, but not now. But they both knew a public retaliation was pointless. Kate had captured the public's heart. Any challenge would only amplify their defeat. The dim amber light of the antique sconces along the Victoria and Albert Museum's marble corridor bathes the walls in a soft nostalgic glow, tracing the ornate carvings with shadows. The exhibition has concluded and the once bustling space has fallen into silence, a stillness that feels like the aftermath of a tempest. Kate's heels click softly against the marble as she steps away from the main hall, her heart still pulsing with the residue of adrenaline. Her public smile has faded into one of quiet, exhausted satisfaction. She has achieved what she set out to do, lifting Elena to prominence while stripping Laura of the coveted ambassador role she longed for. Yet Kate is acutely aware that triumph always invites retaliation. As she heads toward a secluded passage leading to the private exit, the rhythmic strike of approaching heels slices through the silence, sharp, deliberate, and furious. Kate turns, finding Laura striding toward her, her face flushed crimson with fury. The emerald gown she wears shimmers under the corridor's light, but its elegance is overshadowed by the storm raging in her expression. What was that stunt? Laura spits out, her voice trembling, stripped of her usual composure. You chose her, that girl, Elena, just to get at me, didn't you? You knew I wanted that title. Kate doesn't flinch. Her eyes are cool and unreadable, gleaming with restrained composure like a frozen lake under starlight. She'd anticipated this clash, though she hadn't expected it to happen so soon. Before she can answer, another figure appears from the far end of the hall, Camilla. Her presence unmistakable in her pale lavender gown, her posture exuding practiced royalty. She catches Laura by the arm, hissing under her breath. Enough, Laura. Don't make this uglier than it already is. But Laura jerks free, her fury undimmed, her gaze locked on Kate. Drawing in a slow breath, Kate steadies her heartbeat. She has no desire to turn this into a public scene. But retreat is no longer her nature. Her voice cuts through the tension, calm yet edged with quiet authority. I kept my silence to see just how far you'd push, Laura. The way you undermine me at the gallery, the dismissive comments, the ambition. I've seen it all. Now I understand exactly what drives you. Laura stares at her wide-eyed as if struck. Her mouth opens to reply, but Camilla steps forward instead. Her eyes, sharp and gleaming, pierce through the dim light. Do you really believe you can keep this up, Catherine? She says icily. You're treading a dangerous path, and one day it will cost you. The air turns brittle. A shiver travels up Kate's spine, but she meets Camilla's gaze head-on, unyielding. Taking a single step closer, she answers in a low, cutting voice. I don't need to win every battle, Camilla. Just enough to remind everyone who the future truly belongs to. Her words hang in the air, both a statement and a warning, a claim not only to her royal position but to her right to shape what comes next. Laura retreats slightly, her face paling, her lips trembling as she fights back tears. Camilla remains still, her face a mask of composure, but the flicker of unease in her eyes betrays her. She realizes, perhaps for the first time, that Kate is no longer the polite, deferential woman she once was. The person standing before her now is fierce, self-assured, and unwilling to be silenced. For the first time, genuine apprehension stirs within her. Without another word, Kate turns and walks away, her footsteps echoing down the marble hall, measured, unwavering. Inside, though, a storm rages. There is no elation, only a quiet, heavy release. Power, she knows, always carries a price, fractured relationships, unspoken resentment, and the constant burden of expectation. Her thoughts drift to William, to their children, and to the purpose that fuels her resolve. Not an ambition, but the desire to redefine the monarchy with empathy, openness, and strength. Behind her, Laura remains motionless beside her mother, defeat settling like lead in her chest. What do we do now? She whispers, voice tight with emotion. Camilla squeezes her hand, her tone low and firm. We'll find another way, she replies, though a rare uncertainty shadows her face. They both understand that Kate now holds the advantage, not only in the public eye, but in this quiet, charged corridor. Stepping outside, Kate is met by the cool kiss of London's night air. A light drizzle mists her cheeks as she tilts her face upward, inhaling deeper. For the first time, she feels a sense of liberation, fragile yet real. The battle is far from over, but tonight she walks as a woman who has taken command of her own fate. Under the muted gleam of the street lights, a faint smile touches her lips. Whatever storms lie ahead, she knows one thing for certain, she will never yield again. In the days following the grand exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum, an uneasy tension settles over the royal household, thick and oppressive like the sky above London before a thunderstorm. Kate's triumph has disrupted the delicate balance within the monarchy. Across Britain's newspapers, from The Guardian to The Sun, praise pours in, hailing her courage and foresight in appointing Elena Martinez as the new young cultural ambassador. Headlines such as Kate Middleton shaping a modern royal era dominate the front pages, accompanied by photographs of Kate and Elena side by side, embodying progress and unity. To the public, already captivated by Kate's grace, she now appears as the emblem of integrity and modernity, a quiet yet determined figure who stood up to elitism and privilege. But for Laura, that same victory feels like ruin. Her humiliation spread swiftly through the media, impossible to contain. Reporters unearth fragments of her past, dredging up every condescending remark and indiscreet comment. One particularly damning Daily Mail article republishes her sneer from a past event: "How can a girl from the slums be refined enough to represent the royal family?" Once uttered with superiority, those words now come back to destroy her reputation. Social media reacts with brutal speed, branding her pretentious and unfit for royal representation, while hashtags like #LauraLopes out-trend across platforms, transforming her into the nation's latest scandal. Behind palace walls, quiet confirmation arrives. Laura is to be excluded from all official royal duties. An internal memorandum, never released publicly, makes it clear she will no longer be considered for cultural roles or royal initiatives.